This is the last community call before Decoded. And joining us today, we have Raul. I can currently call him a council member, but only for like another few days. He will share the latest updates with governance on Polkadot and Kusama Network, from motions, treasury proposals, current discussions, and so on. We will also have Moonbeam Network joining us here today as alongside Michigan Blockchain to talk about the latest Uniswap V3 wormhole announcement. We have Subwallet joining us today to talk about their latest updates. We have Apillon joining us to talk about Web3 approved. We have is it Multix? Thibaut joining us today to talk about what problems it solves for multi-sig users. We have Phala joining us today to talk about their fat contract being live and smart contracts now smarter. And we have Invarch joining us today to give updates on the Saturn multi-chain, multi-sig, and SDK. So we have a very packed call. So without further ado, let's get started. Raul, we'll start off with you.
Hi everyone, I hope you can hear me okay. I'm very happy to be here again. Happy Friday to everyone. I'm here to give you a rundown of what I think are the most interesting proposals and discussions on both Kusama and Polkadot for the month. As always, I will start with Kusama. I will go fast on Kusama because on Polkadot, as Emily mentioned, we have a lot of interesting news. And then I'll move to Polkadot Network, and inside those two networks, I will separate the proposals between governance proposals and treasury proposals, okay? So let's start with Kusama. On the governance side of things, I have four governance proposals that I found interesting. It's always interesting to review which proposals go ahead up for vote on the governance side because it allows us to get informed and educated about what governance can do on both Kusama and Polkadot. Let's start with referendum 186. This referendum was a proposal submitted by the Bifrost team. They want to swap their parachain ID from 2259 to 2262. Executed successfully. Referendum 190 aimed to execute the runtime upgrade B9420 and B9420 on Simpad is already approved and enacted in block 18 million in approximately 18,062,000. This was also a bit off in preparation on the new runtime on Polkadot to B9420. As you know, any code that needs to be deployed on Polkadot is deployed before on Kusama in order to stress test the network and make sure everything works well. Referendum 213 is right now up for vote. Cabocha Parachain lease slot is coming to an end, and the team secure another lease on another Para ID. The proposal aims to move the current Para ID to a new pure proxy account, offboard the old Para ID and onboard the new one, so Cabocha can start producing blocks again. Make sure to review the contextual information on the post. All of the posts that I mentioned today will also be shared on Twitter, so don't worry if I go too fast, you will be able to check the contextual information. And finally, for Kusama governance proposal, referendum 214, aiming to further the centralized collator sets on Kusama system chains is up for vote right now. The goal is to leave 2 parity invulnerable collators on each chain, make 8 community collators invulnerable on Asset Hub, and create additional 6 permissionless slots on Asset Hub, and doing the same for the Bridge Hub. This is up for vote on the track that is called Staking Admin. You will be able to check that on Polkadot.js apps or any of the applications that include the governance tabs on their flow. So make sure to check the contextual information. On the treasury side for Kusama, I want to talk about 3 particular referenda. Referenda 171 that was already voted some time ago. We haven't been in this call since I think end of April. So this particular proposal formalizes the community decision to close 2013. For us, this was the public infrastructure maintenance bounty. It aimed to cover and fund the maintenance of public infrastructure on Kusama, included indexers, explorers, governance applications, and the community has decided to formalize the closure of this bounty. So teams right now are going directly to the corresponding tracks to fund the maintenance of this particular infrastructure. Referendum 200 for Polk Assembly maintenance proposals for Q2 in 2023 was approved by the community. This included infrastructure costs, general maintenance, upgrade changes, content, and education and audits. This was approved by the community on the corresponding track and is a great example of the type of proposals that used to go to the public infrastructure bounty and now are up for vote directly by the community. Referendum 202 for Milestone 1 development of Cigarette, which was a tool set for node developers, was rejected by the community. The team is currently checking on what the alternatives are, what the feedback is from the community to see if there is a new submission. But let's move to Polkadot because it's exciting. It's an exciting week this week because it's the last day, if the community approves, before open governance model is deployed on Polkadot network. Let's start with the governance side of things. On the governance side of things, let's go a bit back since we haven't been here for a while. Referendum 117 aimed to return super colony lost funds back to the treasury. This was rejected by the community in referenda queue. However, for those who don't remember the particular origin of this situation, Super Colony was funded for a particular project a few months ago, and the private keys were lost. You can see the funds still in the account, but the loss of the private keys didn't allow the funds to be moved. So we had to vote on a new proposal for Super Colony to get funding for the project. Then the community, a group of community members, decided to present a proposal to return the lost funds back to the treasury. This was rejected, but there is an interesting philosophical discussion about the concept of self-sovereignty, consensus, and immutability on the post. So hopefully you guys will find it interesting. You can go check it out and visit the contextual information. This is referendum 117. Referendum 119 is up for vote for the next 3 days. This was submitted by the Akala team, and it aims to lease swaps on their parachain. So make sure you review the contextual information. There's also interesting and insightful discussion and comments in this particular post. So make sure you review those and make sure to cast your vote. Referendum 120 is really interesting because it's a runtime upgrade for the collectives parachain to version 9420. And this is interesting because it's intrinsically connected to the OpenGov model. This particular runtime upgrade on collectives parachain includes the creation of the technical fellowship in preparation for OpenGov on Polkadot. This was already approved and executed by the community, and you can see the collective now on chain on collectives chain. So make sure you visit the collectives chain on Polkadot JS apps. You will be able to see the members there. They are exactly the same members that live on Kusama right now. Referendum 121, this is really interesting, is a runtime upgrade to version 9420 on Polkadot network. And among other things, this proposal includes OpenGov on Polkadot. This proposal is up for vote right now, I think for the next 6 days. And on the Polkadot system parachain side, this upgrades includes changes since version 9370. Make sure to check this runtime upgrade. It's a big step for the community. It's a big step for a more decentralized and unstoppable governance system on the Polkadot network after the testing on Kusama network. There are 6 days to vote, and if the community approves and this is enacted, then the council will cease to perform its activities, and all of the governance and treasury proposals will start being voted by the community directly in the same way we're doing on Kusama right now. Finally, on the governance side for Polkadot, referendum 123, it's also up for vote. It's a very interesting proposal that opens a new batch of HRMP channels with statement, this time for Littentree, Composable, Polkadot, and Zeitgeist in the same form and with the same batch calls that were used for past HRMP channels opening proposals. On the treasury side, I would like to start with motion 391. This was a proposal submitted by Subwallet for the development of their milestone 3 in the extension. This includes hardware wallet integration, Ledger, Paradesigner, or Polkadot Vault, the build between Polkadot and Kusama and parachains, in-app staking for DOT and Kusama, and support USDT on statement, as well as fiat on ramp and more. This was passed by the council. It has been approved, and the Subwallet team has worked on this particular milestone as well. Another interesting proposal is motion 396. This is the maintenance and funding for Q2 2023 for Small Dot project. For those of you who do not know about Small Dot project, this is a very important and strategic infrastructure project on the Polkadot ecosystem, and it focuses on the development of light client implementations. It's something that has started a while ago, and you can already experiment with it on Polkadot JS apps. It's a super, super strategic proposal. Make sure you check it out. That is motion 396. Motion 409 for the continuation of and maintenance of the Python libraries that were developed by Polkascan Foundation for Q1 2023 was also approved by the Council. Motion 415 for a retroactive funding for ORML palettes and libraries maintenance from November 22 to April 2023, submitted by the Akala team, was also approved. This is a collection of modules that the Akala team created to solve issues that they have encountered during development, to produce features that they wish existed, but they make it not specific and very generic in order for other parachain teams and developers to be able to use this open source library. This was approved by the council, so congratulations to the team as well. And finally, I want to mention a motion that is up for vote right now, motion 418. This is a motion to fund Polkadot Decoded 2023 China, a satellite event that will be happening a bit after Decoded Copenhagen now in June. This will happen in July 15 and 16 in 2023 in Shanghai, and it's a grand satellite event covering the Asian region, including China, Japan, Korea, Singapore, and the rest of ASEA. So make sure you review the proposal, the budget, the roadmap, leave your comments, and Council is at the moment still voting on it. So thank you so much for the time. I hope everyone has a good weekend, and very excited for the week that is coming with OpenGov on Polkadot.
Yeah, it is a very exciting week for Polkadot. Up next, let's have Moonbeam Network, followed by Michigan Blockchain, because they'll both be talking about the latest Uniswap v3 announcement.
Hey, thanks for having us, and Abdullah, thanks for hopping on. So yeah, I'm Nate, lead ecosystem for Moonbeam. I think I know a lot of you on the call, but yeah, the crew at Parity had asked if we'd kind of jump on and talk about some of the ins and outs of what's coming with what got approved from the Uniswap DAO. And so I figured what I'd want to do is I want to bring in Abdullah from the Michigan Blockchain Association or Club that was really instrumental in moving that forward. And so Abdullah, do you mind if I bring you up and do you just mind talking about kind of where the universities kind of come into play here with Uniswap and the DAO?
Sure thing, Nate. So hey everybody, I'm Abdullah. I lead our governance division at Michigan Blockchain, and we're really just an entirely student-led organization that received delegations from a couple of large stakeholders about 2 years ago. So the university delegation programs have really been more prosperous over the past 2 years, and we've received delegations for some DeFi protocols, including Uniswap, Aave, Compound, and recently Arbitrum. And so what we've been involved in this year in regards to Uniswap is a lot of multi-chain deployments. Since the business source license, which was essentially the moat that Uniswap established about 2 years ago, there have been multiple cross-chain, multi-chain deployments in order to facilitate this sort of multinational approach with like dApps. That's the analogy we like to use. We like to look at the dApp as like a company, and we take it multinational across multiple different chains. That's like one analogy here. And so since January or so, there have been multiple proposals that have been out, namely the Binance proposal, BNB chain proposal. There've been the Avalanche proposal, Gnosis chain, and recently Moonbeam as well. So I'm happy to discuss this a little bit more here. So the way that this sort of transpired was, one, on April 1st, the business source license for Uniswap expired. That means at this point, anybody out there had the ability to go out and fork V3 code. And that means that moat was sort of dismantled. But this proposal to deploy in Moonbeam was already taking hold a whole year ago. But as we know, 2022 was a very tumultuous year. And so even though this sort of proposal passed a year back, it didn't really transpire into anything material. The V3 contracts didn't get actually deployed on Moonbeam because there were multiple issues we ran into. The main issue we ran into was that this deployment was supposed to occur with the Nomad team. And as we know, on August 1st, there was a massive drain and exploit of Nomad funds. And so to this day, they really haven't recovered. They've sort of gone with the wind at this point. And so the idea this year was to reestablish this proposal, revitalize it, rewrite it, and actually deploy the contracts, which were supposed to be deployed a whole year back. And so around March, April-ish, we wrote up the proposal in collaboration with the Moonbeam team and some guys at Wormhole. We recently went through the on-chain vote, and we had around 50 million yes votes, almost unanimous. There was quite literally just one no vote against this. But really the idea from our side as a member of the Uniswap DAO is that we want to take Uniswap to as many EVM compatible chains as possible. And Moonbeam is really the way we sort of facilitate this and get access to the Polkadot blockchain in general. So happy to expand on that and address any further questions there.
Awesome. Yeah, no, I appreciate you giving kind of all that context. So I think we'd seen that this did get passed, I don't know, it was May last year or so, that, the team had kind of taken it forward, and, like you mentioned, due to different issues, it never moved. And so this was actually brought up a lot by community members about, like, when's Uniswap coming? And we always wanted it to be kind of driven by the community. And so eventually, like you said, we got connected, as well as some of the some large voices in the community kind of brought this forward. And then the Wormhole team were super supportive to kind of support this as being kind of one of the teams to be focused on cross-chain messaging, and I know Uni has kind of a focus on that from a governance perspective. And so it all kind of came together, and it was great to see kind of the community take this forward. And we certainly appreciate everything you guys at did for this, and I think it should be pretty cool. We're continuing to work through kind of what it looks like. The contracts are deployed, but we're looking at what it looks like from a front end perspective. I think that nothing to share quite yet, but there's kind of a new focus, I think, from the foundation in terms of what the front end will be for kind of cross-chain deployments that have been approved. But at the end of the day, the contracts and things like that are really what matter most. That's what folks value the most, is being able to, obviously retail can use the front end, but if you're a team or developer or want to deploy things in a permissionless fashion, the back end and knowing that it is fully supported by Uni is really what matters most. So more to come on that. I think this summer we'll probably start to suss out some of the additional details, and you'll see more things kind of become more public when this is ready to kind of launch. And so stay tuned for the update. But I appreciate you joining, Abdullah. I really appreciate all the support, and excited to just hopefully see this kind of move forward in the next couple of weeks.
For sure. And one last thing I would add here is that this delay that we're seeing right now, because ideally what everybody wants is when you go straight to the Uniswap application, the website, you're able to click that one button and then you see all the chains pop up. Right now we've got most of the large L2s. We've got BNB chain, we've got Cello, a couple of those chains right there. But we haven't seen Moonbeam on the front end yet. And that's not just Moonbeam. that's not just a singular chain issue. The main bottleneck here is that we're trying to create a process right now that's more easy for chains to deploy on the front end, because the front end is really not under the DAO's control. That's the main issue here. And there are multiple other deployments that have gone through the on-chain voting process that are still in this bottleneck phase. For example, Avalanche. The Avalanche deployment is still not through completely. It's not on the front end yet. So it's not just Moonbeam. Just want to clarify that issue right there. And we're working with Uniswap Labs and Foundation and collaboratively trying to find a way to make it more, so to speak, decentralized to allow for the front end integrations to become easier in the future. So just not a completely Moonbeam thing. All the contracts are deployed, like Nate said, but there'll be more announcements coming soon. But it's not completely decided how we're going to make this process more seamless going forward. But we're doing our best at in terms of from the DAO's perspective, Foundation's perspective, and from Lab's perspective.
Cool. Well, I mean, with that, I think we can hand it back to Emily, and you guys can kind of take it on to the next topic.
Awesome. Thank you so much. And thank you so much for joining us here today. They actually deployed, I think it was the day of the community call of last month or the day before. And so they got moved. So thank you so much for coming on today. And for those that want to learn more, as teams are speaking, we are pinning tweets here to the top, so you can click on the tweets and to learn more about this. Also, you could, as always, follow the Twitter accounts that are here joining us to discuss as well. So up next, we have Subwallet.
Thank you, Emily. Hey guys, can you hear me well? Okay, awesome. Thank you. Yeah, so my name's Ryan from Subwallet, and good morning, good afternoon, good evening, everyone. It's my pleasure to be here today. So today I would like to give you an update about the Subwallet official version launch that we launched it a few weeks ago. But before that, maybe to someone new to Subwallet, this is just a quick introduction. Subwallet is a comprehensive non-custodial wallet solution for the Polkadot, Substrate, and Ethereum ecosystem, with the mission of onboarding users to the ecosystem and also opening the Web3 universe. So we started building in November 2021, and we released the beta version in February 2022. And after that, a few months after that, we joined the Substrate Builders Program in April 2022. And a few weeks ago, after a year and a half of building, we officially released a full launch for both extension version and the mobile app. And this is done after a lot of effort in research, in users interviews, and product development. So the new release included many major upgrades. For example, a brand new UI UX that makes it a lot easier for users to navigate the wallet, an asset-centric approach, and auto asset detection. So this approach helps Subwallet to support multi-chain, but the UI UX is as simple as a single chain wallet. So you may know in a multi-chain world, users may have assets in many different networks. For example, you may have DOT in Polkadot Relay Chain, in Moonbeam, in A-Star, in Invarch, and so on. And it can be very confusing. So this new version of Subwallet allows you to manage your DOT in all of these chains in a very simple way. And also a master password to manage your multiple accounts and multiple seed phrase. So there is no need to manage different accounts with different passwords anymore. Also, we allow users to sync accounts between desktop and mobile through the QR sign-up feature, which can be done in a few seconds. I think this is a very cool feature to use Subwallet across multiple platforms anywhere on the go. The new version also support almost parachains and substrate-based standalone chains. And it also supports other EVM networks such as Ethereum, BNB chain, Polygon, Arbitrum, Optimism, and Tomo chain. And we hope to like support more chains in the future. So it will help users to manage multi-chain assets on both substrate and EVM in a single wallet. And all other important features were also updated in this new release. For example, the in-app XCM transfer, including the XCM transfer for USDT between statement and parachains such as A-Star, Akala, Moonbeam, Interlay, Hydra, Equilibrium, Bifrost, Parallel. I think this is very important because we all know that Binance recently allows users to withdraw USDT from Binance to statement, and the USDT supply has been increasingly quickly since then, so allowing users to XCM transfer USDT across parachains in the ecosystem right inside the wallet would be a crucial feature. Also, the in-app staking feature, we do support both normal way of staking and also nomination pool staking. So you can start staking with only one dot right inside a sub wallet. And other features like hardware wallet support for Ledger, for Keystone, for Polkadot Vault, fiat on-ramp feature, and phishing detection. We also completed the second external security audit for subwallet before the full launch. And also, I would like to give you an update about Dot Insight. We have been working on the very first in-depth Polkadot staking report, and we plan to release it in a few weeks. It will cover key statistics about Polkadot staking, including validator, nominator analysis, pool analysis, minimum active stake, and so on, with a lot of interesting detailed charts to explore. So please make sure to follow Dot Inside Twitter to keep update about the release. And also a final thing about community building and promoting Polkadot in Vietnam. So we are attending the Build Vietnam event next week, and together with many ecosystem projects in the Polkadot ecosystem like Polkadot Insider, Litentry, Invarch, Manta, Airlift, and so on, we plan to organize the Polkadot networking event next week in Ho Chi Minh City. And we are also planning to organize the decoded viewing party and also the decoded satellite event by the end of July. So if anyone plans to go to Vietnam at that time, please let me know so that we can connect and meet in person in Vietnam. Thank you.
Thank you, and thank you for joining us today. And also thank you for for hosting a viewing party for Polkadot Decoded. I love all the ecosystem teams that not everyone can go to Copenhagen. It is also a very far trip for our local Vietnamese community. So I'm really happy these teams that are stepping up and hosting viewing parties in their local regions so that all the dot holders and Polkadot enthusiasts can get together and still feel a part of Polkadot Decoded. Super valuable for the community. Up next, we have Apillon.
Hey guys, how's it going? Thanks for having us on the call today. I would just like to give a quick update on what has happened with Apillon over the past few weeks, or let's say May, June timeframe. So we've just recently integrated Astar into our platform as well. So we now have Moonbeam and Astar as the smart contracting platforms. For those who don't know us, I could quickly just say what we're doing. Basically at Apillon, we're building like an abstraction layer, an API layer for the substrate chains on Polkadot. So it makes it easier for new developers who are entering the space. They can start building on top of Polkadot without having to understand how those parachains actually work at the backend. And we basically then translate those parachain services into simple services like they're used to from the Web2 world, like storage service, compute service, identity service, and then you can start basically build your app on top of it. And while we're doing that, we kind of were looking what could be services that can be used by the larger community quickly and in an easy way. So what we've just launched today basically is a campaign together with Crust that we're inviting kind of the ecosystem to practice what we preach, because we all live already in a Web3 world, but our websites are still kind of hosted with a centralized service. So we want to encourage everyone building in Web3 to come and check out the service that we've now launched. So basically, you're able to launch or host your website in a true decentralized fashion through Apillon, and live it or let it live for over 100 years. So this is how the campaign basically looks like. So you're able to host your website on IPFS and let it live in a true unstoppable way. In this regard, I'd also like to kind of just give a quick teaser. I'm not yet allowed to share too much, but we're gonna reveal something really big next week. We have to go through, let's say, some internal communications first. But I'm more than happy to invite you all to either follow Apillon or myself, because it's going to be basically very big news, not just for us, but also for the whole Polkadot ecosystem, because we think it's going to benefit and drive adoption of new developers immensely once we go live with the new feature. Thanks for having us today.
Thank you, and thank you for joining us. Up next, we have Multics.
Thanks, Emily. Hi, everyone. My name is Thibault. I work at ChainSafe, and I work particularly on Multics. So ChainSafe is doing a lot of things. Maybe you heard about Gossamer, the Polkadot implementation in Go. ChainSafe is doing a lot of things, but today I want to talk about this interface to manage multisig that we're building and that I'm presenting here. And if you are curious to see it actually in action, either you can test it out, or obviously also we'll be at Polkadot Decoded to present it. So Multics is an interface to manage multisigs. It's very good at showing complex multisig setups in particular, such as the one involving one or several proxies. So these are multisigs probably more for parachain teams or for teams that receive big grants. So there are many multisigs interfaces out there right now, but Multics is special in that it's the most open, in my opinion, open as in open source. There's no private database, there's no tracking whatsoever. We have very, very strong Web3 values. It's using an indexer, but it's also an open source indexer. So basically everything you see on Multics comes from the chain or from your PC, right? There's nothing that we can alter or change. So Multics is the interface, in my opinion, also with the best UX. So I'm not talking about UI, right? So UI is interface and UX is experience. We're working on the UI to make it a bit more pleasing to the eyes, but in terms of experience, I mean, I think you cannot have anything better. If you go on multics.chainsafe.io, you can basically connect your wallet and directly see your accounts, right? There's no login, there's no need to import your multisigs or anything. If you have ever interacted or if you are part of multisig, you can directly see it. And yeah, you see what's on chain basically. And if you don't have a multisig, but you're curious to see, you know, how the multisig from other could look like, you can check in my recent tweets. I'm actually giving you some address, for instance, from the Chaos DAO, which has a very interesting multisig setup. And Multics has a view-only mode, so you can paste an address and look at what's happening, you know, on chain. Maybe every now and then they are actually voting, and you can see they have different types of proxies, etc. So it's very interesting. And yeah, also we aim at making multisig transaction reviewing a breeze. So those of you who've ever used a multisig before on Polkadot, you have to send off-chain data called it's cold data. It's called. And yeah, if someone makes a proposal on Multics, you basically don't need to send that cold data off-chain. You can just log in and see the proposals, and it will be decode it for you. You can verify it and prove it without any external communication with the other signatories. And yeah, finally, I'm here just to say that it's been launched on Polkadot and Kusama recently. So if you're using a multisig today, just go check it out and yeah, reach out if there's any question or anything. And if you're a parachain and you want to see it, it's actually, there's no, it's just about launching an indexer for your parachain. So it can be done in a very, very short time. So just reach out. And thank you.
Thank you, and wonderful solution. I think we all know like a good trusted multi-sig solution is what everyone is looking for, especially businesses or people with multiple accounts and so on. So wonderful, exciting to have this. As someone that's been here for a while, we've been wanting solutions like this. All right, up next we have Phala Network.
Hey everyone. Thanks for the opportunity to speak here today. I'm Dan. I'm the Chief Product Officer of Phala Network. And yeah, we have some major news for everyone here. So pleased to come and share it. Just to start quickly, for those of us who, or for those of you even, who aren't as familiar with our project as maybe someone's you in the call, Phala Network is decentralized compute infrastructure. So what does that mean? Anyone can come along and trustlessly and permissionlessly provide hardware to the network and be rewarded for it. So what's the big news today? It's the culmination of many years of work, and the announcement is that Fat Contract is now live on mainnet. It's a huge moment for us, and we believe that it'll eventually be for many in the ecosystem. So congrats to the team, super proud. But you'll probably be wondering what is Fat Contract? It's our flagship product, and it's the way to consume all of that compute that anyone in the world can provide. And put very simply, it allows you to run smart contracts off-chain. Of course, this being the Polkadot ecosystem, those are Inc. smart contracts, WASM Inc. smart contracts. And that's our slogan, if you like. We're going to bring the best of on-chain and off-chain. So on-chain verification, off-chain capability. We think this is really important for Polkadot. Obviously, smart contracts are a huge part of Web3. They're a huge part of Polkadot. And our goal, if there's one key takeaway today from learning about Phala, is that our goal is to make smart contracts even smarter. We're pushing Inc. We're a big fan of Inc. Alongside of the parachains like A-Star. We're part of the incubator program. But then what we've done is maybe gone a little bit further and gone off on our own direction. So effectively, we've taken Inc. and we've ported it off-chain. You can now run a smart contract off-chain. And because you're in an off-chain environment, you can do a lot of things that you couldn't do on-chain. So we've created a new library called Phala Inc., or as we like to call it, Pink, which means you can do many interesting things. So, for example, you can open a HTTP request, which opens a whole new world of possibilities for your dApp. So what I'd love to do is just give you a quick rundown on what we would consider the 4 key benefits of Fat Contract. Fundamentally, you can now connect your smart contract anywhere, first and foremost. So it makes it possible to extend the capabilities of your smart contract without the need for a bridge or any kind of extra layer. Alongside offering unparalleled on-chain connectivity, the second key benefit is that you can now open a HTTP request to anything. You can connect to the off-chain world, to the Web2 world. It puts all of that at your fingertips, and you can just take your dApp to places it's never been before. You can integrate Web3, various Web2 APIs, create a fusion of old and new, on-chain and off-chain. Within that world, then, you can also run arbitrarily complex logic. You're not constrained by on-chain computation anymore. It's exponentially cheaper and near real-time latency. So some of the engineers in this call, I'm sure, can start to imagine how you can do some really, really, really cool stuff. And then finally, just to kind of bring the story background to its beginning, you've got verifiable computation. So Phala Network is designed in such a way it has many layers of security to provide fully verifiable computation. This is Web3, this is decentralized. The contracts are protected by both hardware secure enclaves and cryptographic evidence published and verified on the blockchain. We are effectively extending trustless, extending blockchain level security to an off-chain realm. So those are the key benefits of Fat Contract. You can now run smart contracts off chain. Did we stop there? No, we didn't. Alongside this release, we decided to build a no-code and low-code experience on top of that. So we know that there are many, many developers out there who are very, very skilled, but they've never sat down with Rust and ink, and we want to open that world up to them. So we brought something to production called Bricks and Blueprints. So very quick rundown on what bricks and blueprints are. Fundamentally, a brick is just a fat contract that's been wrapped up, so you don't need to write it, you can just configure it. And a blueprint is a collection of bricks, building blocks if you like, that solve a well-known problem. We're shipping one blueprint at launch. It's focused on the social fi space, and we're going to ship a lot more. So that's it. That's my big news. That's the big news from the Phala team. Go and check us out, Phala.network. We've got a new website. We've got new docs. We've got a brand new bricks app. We've got this one blueprint, as I say, at launch, and lots more to come. There'll be a live web stream next week where myself and Hash Warlock, or Josh, as many of you will know from the events, will be running down all these latest changes. And yeah, that's everything for me. Thanks for your time. Hope you enjoyed it.
Awesome. Thank you for joining us here today as well. Up next, and last but certainly not least, we have Invarch Network.
Hello, everyone. I hope everyone's feeling fantastic, having a good GM or GN or wherever the heck you are. Thanks for, first and foremost, thank you to everyone at the right folks at Parity for letting me come on up here today. Super excited. I'm going to be talking a little bit about Saturn. So Saturn is a multi-chain, multi-sig solution for the ecosystem. It is a bit different, though, from other type of multi-sig products or services that you may have come across in the past. So first and foremost, I guess let me just kind of underscore the significance of Saturn and what makes it different from what we're used to. And that is Saturn realizes the ability to manage and operate across multiple different networks, manage your assets, operate across those networks using just a single multi-sig deployment. So typically, there's two different type of flavors which are more common that people in this ecosystem may be used to. There are multi-sigs through smart contracts, so something like Gnosis Safe, and then there's also multi-sigs through the pallet multi-sig, pallet proxies, which you can more commonly find directly on certain parachains. However, with these experiences, they are a bit fractured. There's limitations to them. When it comes to Gnosis Safe, if you want to manage your assets on a specific network, then you need to deploy a safe smart contract on that network. If you want to manage assets on a different network, and this can be something as simple as managing your assets on Ethereum and then also Arbitrum. That requires two separate multi-sig deployments. You're not able to simply manage all of those assets through a single multi-sig account. So it is fractured. They require separate setups, and then by default, technically they are also separately managed. And it's a rather similar experience when it comes to the pallet multi-sig and proxies, which I will note are worlds ahead in terms of advancements compared to other solutions such as Gnosis Safe. But still, they realize this kind of fractured experience, which is a bit ironic considering this is Polkadot. This is the home of multi-chain. So what happens is if you want to manage your assets using a multi-sig directly on the relay, but also on Moonbeam, on Astar, on Hydra, on Centrifuge, then you need to deploy a separate multi-sig. Some of these are through pallet multi-sig, and then some of these, like on Moonbeam, would be using something as Gnosis Safe. But then when it comes to managing your assets, again, everything is fractured. You are separately managing all of these different multi-sigs. And in a world where we have between both parachains, Polkadot or both relay chains between Polkadot and Kusama, I believe we have over 80 or close to 80, or I think it's over 80 parachains that are live. So if someone was a very active player in the ecosystem, let's say they have their hands in everything, then this would mean that they have to manage 80 separate multi-sigs. It would be kind of ridiculous. But that is the only option available to them. So that's why we made Saturn. So with Saturn, it gives individuals, whether it's an individual user, a DAO, a VC institution, the ability to deploy just one single multi-sig, which they can then use to securely manage their assets and utilize their assets across any blockchain. So it's a very big game changer when it comes to multi-sigs, and completely changes the overall user experience and drastically elevates it, makes it much, much smoother, much easier to manage, but also it helps provide a unstoppable foundation for which DAOs and organizations can build on top of, because by removing the need, in the real world to separately manage all these different accounts, if you were a DAO, an on-chain organization, and you had to rely on certain individuals setting up these accounts in the real world in order for you to continue to conduct business on multiple networks, well, you're always going to have a single point of failure in that aspect. You'll technically always be stoppable, which is another big reason why we've created Saturn. So it's like I said, it's very different from what we're used to before. All of the code is fully open source. All of our code pretty much is always all open source. If not just in this moment, then it will be very soon. So yeah, that's all there. Everything's open source. It was originally developed through funding from the Kusama Treasury. So we created the actual protocol. Then we created an SDK so that other builders, whether they're dApps or wallets, can easily integrate this into their clients and extend this experience to their users. However, we're also now getting ready to go to the Polkadot Treasury because we are seeking funding for the creation of what we call Saturn Gateway. So we've created the backend, created an SDK. So now we're actually looking to provide a dedicated user interface for managing, creating, and using Saturn multisigs. So we're really excited about this. It's very powerful. It comes with it's also different in terms of member management, like how easy and how fluid it can be to onboard and offboard new members, to give members custom roles and limited permissions. So similar to what is achieved with Pallet Proxy, but without the need to have Pallet Proxy. So it achieves all of the same functionality, so it's very powerful there. Customizable voting thresholds, different customizable voting weights for different members of a multi-sig. Oh shoot! I mean, there's probably a bunch of things I'm missing. I always get excited and nervous when I'm up on these calls, but it's just extremely powerful, is what I want to get across here. And the really beautiful thing, as well, is that extending this across the ecosystem is going to become increasingly easier. So right now, today, it just takes an HRMP channel and 3 lines of code. That's it. The actual setup process, if ourselves and another team were just purely focused and dedicated to it, it takes 5 minutes. In 5 minutes, boom, you're done. And another parachain now has the services of the Saturn multi-sig. So for their users, it might be powered by the Invarch network. Right now on Tinkernet on Kusama. It might be powered by those chains, but using XCM, these services are delivered in a way to where they are seemingly native on other networks. So using XCM, what we've kind of done is brought harmony to the multi-sig management experience across the ecosystem. So we're building out now a dedicated UI. Very excited in this. We're also delivering an XCM transaction bundler. So some people might be familiar. That's a feature that is found on a few different platforms. On Gnosis Safe, they have a transaction builder. And what this allows you to do is essentially build out using multiple transactions, like a flow of transactions, build that out. It'll bundle it together and then execute as one transaction. It's one transaction that then needs to be voted on by the multi-sig. And this is something that our ecosystem currently lacks in general, but we're taking it a step further and making it multi-chain. So using Saturn, individuals are going to be able to build out and bundle transactions spanning across multiple different blockchains, bundle those transactions together, and then submit them as a single proposal, which then needs to be executed for multi-sigs, and then also have the ability to save these bundled transactions as widgets in the Saturn Gateway application. They're attached to multi-sig and its metadata. Very, very powerful feature. Very, very awesome. Something we're excited for. And then just like T-Bull said, like similar with Multics, you don't have to worry about going and grabbing your call data and then putting it into the call. All of that's handled for you. It's very, very smooth, very easy. The way that I don't know, the way it should be, in my opinion. But yeah, that's Saturn. I just want to kind of, for those who aren't aware, I wanted to introduce it to them. In my opinion, it's a very massive deal. And it's not just a big deal for Invarch. It should be seen as a very massive deal for the ecosystem. It is one of the first products that is being shipped out, truly powered and leveraging the unique capabilities of XCM to realize a powerful solution and a product that otherwise wouldn't be possible in any other ecosystem. So this is taking its, the slogan "Only on Polkadot." It's more than a slogan in this case; it's a fact, and it's something that we're just really proud about. Really excited to bring to the ecosystem. Helps to empower not just users on the relay, but also whether it's a user or an institution on any other parachain looking for a proper multi-chain asset custody solution. It is now here, or in some cases it's coming. Saturn Gateway also will feature something we call Saturn Connect. So it allows you, it's just in case certain teams haven't yet implemented the wallet connected V2 solution, then it essentially acts as a kind of like an extension router of sorts. So you can use Saturn Connect. It'll interact with apps just like Polkadot.js. Then will automatically generate the proposal for the function that you're trying to perform. We'll submit them, display them over on the Saturn Gateway app, and allow members to easily vote on it. But yeah, very exciting thing that we have built, that we're bringing to the ecosystem, and just excited to have the opportunity to share it with everyone here. If you have any questions about it, you're interested, just feel free to follow the Invarch network. We'll be talking about it more and more. I'll be sharing it at Polkadot Decoded, and looking forward to it kind of taking the ecosystem by storm and elevating the experience all around.
Wonderful. Thank you so much for joining us here today. And yes, you can see the tweet pinned to the top of this profile regarding Invarch. As Dakota mentioned, you can click on anyone's profile here and go follow them to stay up to date. If for those that maybe joined late, or I guess the ones left early wouldn't be here anymore. For those that joined late, this recording will be made available on Twitter for the next 30 days, and following that on YouTube. Following this Twitter space, now it's Friday, so likely at the beginning of next week, we will put out a tweet thread recapping everything that was covered on this Twitter space, as well as relevant links. So with that, I would like to thank all of our speakers that joined us today and took time out of their busy schedules, from Raul and Nate from Moonbeam and Ryan from Subwallet and Abdullah from Michigan Blockchain and Matches from Apillon, Thibaut from Multics, Dan from Phala, as well as Dakota from Invarch. I would also like to thank all of you guys that tuned in today to hear about what all of these projects are doing. Like I mentioned at the beginning of the call, the ultimate June community call will be Polkadot Decoded. All talks from the workshops, every stage will be live streamed and recorded. So for those that aren't able to come to Copenhagen, and if there is no local viewing party in your area, you will be able to get a hybrid ticket. Those are currently available on the website right now. So make sure to go and claim yours, and you can watch all the recordings and live streams of all the talks in real time as they're happening online. So make sure to do that. And also, even if you're attending a viewing party, you might not think, oh, why would I need a ticket or a login? We will obviously have NFT giveaways and that sort of thing. So it's worth still claiming a hybrid ticket, even if you're going to a viewing party. And one other thing I just wanted to clarify, because there seems to be misunderstanding among the community. If you are going in person, you might see online that there's a 99 euro ticket, but that is not a ticket cost. It's actually just a deposit, because what we don't want is a bunch of people claiming tickets and not showing up, because tickets went online a couple of months ago and people are like, oh, let's claim it because I want to reserve my spot if it's free. And then they don't show up, and then that's a really bad experience for everyone that is coming all this way and wants to network, wants to meet people. We want packed stages, we want packed rooms, and so we really want to fill it. So that's why we're making people pay 99 euro or a deposit up front. But then when you show up at the conference by checking in, you get that money back. And so it is just simply a deposit to say, like, yes, I will be coming. And even if you're not coming and you cancel, you still get the deposit back, right? So it just allows us to make sure that we have full rooms and stuff. So I hope to see you guys all there, all that are able to come, and those that aren't able to come, I hope to see you online, tuning in hybrid. We have every single live parachain speaking at the conference. We have, and that's, like 50 projects, but even so, we still have over 100 speakers. So we have infrastructure providers, wallets, dApps, enterprises, partnerships with parachains, and a bunch of people coming. So hope to see you guys all there. And otherwise, if not, see you guys on the July community call next month. Thank you.